Hello everyone and welcome back to From Zero to Crypto Hero, the show where I show you how you can go from zero to $10,000 just by profiting off opportunities you can find everywhere around the blockchain. Last time we have talked about Magic Eden, Jito, MarginFi, Superstake and Hyperspace. Hyperspace has delivered amazingly powerful airdrop. Jito has also done a huge airdrop and MarginFi is extremely promising. So a lot of people have been telling me, Benji, can you go a little bit more into details on these airdrops? So I'm going to quickly go over everything you need to know in order to maximize your returns on these airdrops. I'm going to start with Hyperspace. Hyperspace is an AVAX marketplace. We've talked about it last time, and it does airdrops by season. So you can see that there's season 1, season 2, and season 3. So on season 2, for example, if you look at what I have performed, I was 170th with 1 million points, which doesn't necessarily represent much to you, but we'll go over what that means. And this meant that at the end of the season, I got a claim, as everyone does, but the better your rank is, the bigger your claim. And my claim was of 45.39 AVAX, which is a lot of AVAX and was very, very cool. So you can see that it added to me, actually that was 45 AVAX, which meant that we got a 1,600 additional dollarinos into our account, which is amazing. Secondly, the bakery, which is an airdrop that we had a long time ago for interacting on Discord, has a floor price that is now of $1,100. So unfortunately for them, but fortunately for CryptoHero, this is enough for me to say that we have to cash it out here in order to reach our 10K goal. And we will keep an eye on them and get back to them because they are building amazing things with their perp. So if you do have enough liquidity on the side to keep that NFT, I would keep it and I would trade with it on their new perp and actually try to get their extra rewards. But if you don't and you need the liquidity to do other things, then it's a great way and it's a great rewarding journey to have done with them for $1,000 for sure. So Hyperspace, what do you need to know to get that same airdrop as I did? Well, you need to understand how the rewards season works. So you have one season, and depending on your trading volume and your activity, and depending on what you do, you'll be getting more or less points. So the points are updated periodically. It does take some time when you do a trade to actually see the points update, but I've calculated that for 50 AVAX of trade, so if you buy a Dokyo, for example, you'll roughly get 100,000 points. And so that means that each 100,000 points that you're getting is roughly going to cost you 1 AVAX in fees, something like that. So you need to calculate that if you want to get to 2 million points and hopefully get a very good airdrop, you'll be paying 20 AVAX in fees, and that's quite a lot of money. So if you don't have the liquidity, you have to stick with the smaller trades. I'll show you how to do it later. And then you have to understand how to maximize your points. So there's 4 ways of getting points: buying NFTs on the marketplace as listings, the classic way; buying NFTs via bids, which gives you a little bit less of a point than if you do it normal way, but it still gives you a fair amount of points; selling NFTs via listings, such as the classic selling; and then selling NFTs into bids. This is the worst way for Hyperspace to get points because it also doesn't help the floor prices of the collections that they are supporting. So that's why it's not very, very good. Now let me show you how we actually do maximize. It's also very important to note that you do have to sell at a profit if you want to maximize and get 100% of the points, and you have to keep the NFTs for at least 4 hours if you're not selling at profit, otherwise you'll be getting pretty much nothing. So let me show you how it works. We're going to go onto the Hyperspace main menu and you're going to see the collections that are here. So we have Dokyo, Steady, Mambonauts, Rich Beyond, Chicken and Woofies. Depending on the volume, you're going to want a collection that has a fair amount of volume. So let's say anything that's below top 10 basically is going to be very hard to sell into, and it means that they're not generating a lot of traction and a lot of demand. So you're not necessarily going to want to go to those if you're farming points. Now, obviously, there's some amazing projects you could invest in, but here we're really talking about maximizing those points for this season. So I'm going to head along and go to Woofies because they're very good friends of mine. I'm going to buy, for example, this Woofie. So I see that I'm buying it for 2.43 AVAX, which means that I'm going to have to sell it for more than that if I want to maximize my number of points. So then I'm going to go to my AVAX. I remember 2.43, and I'm going to list it 2.44 and click adjust for fees. And it's going to list it for 2.5. And this is the minimum spread you have to take if you want to maximize your points. If you don't do it that way, if you forget to adjust for fees, you're going to be losing out. I'm going to, however, be aiming a little bit higher than that. And for example, putting 2.5, which means that it's going to be selling for 2.56, which I believe it will for sure. Maximum as season ends and the craze goes. And that's how you're going to be maximizing the Hyperspace rewards. So yes, you need AVAX, you need to put it on the side, and you need to be ready to be holding NFTs for some time. But as we saw, it's extremely rewarding, even if it's getting more and more competitive as the seasons go on. So if you want to see here, I'm on 500,000 points, which isn't that bad, but I'm only 450th, which means that I do need to grind a little bit more. And personally, to grind faster, I do the trading with Dokios, which are a little bit more pricey. They're $2,000, but that also means that you get the points just a lot faster, because by the time you sell one Dokyo, you'll have sold 20 woofies, for example. But if you don't have that amount that you can just lock onto an NFT and wait for it to sell again, then you should definitely do it with a smaller sized collection. Alright, so that's my tutorial for Hyperspace. I hope that it was understandable. Now we're going to move on to a whole other chain, which is the Cosmos ecosystem. We didn't talk about the Cosmos ecosystem much because it's a little bit more complicated than the others to get acquainted with. But what we want to do is to start investing into Cosmos, Osmosis, Celestia, Injective, Akash, Stargaze, and Juno. You need minimum $100 for each of these chains to start hoping for airdrops, or at least consequent airdrops. But the good thing is that this is extremely passive. You stake your rewards or you stake your money, and then you just wait for the airdrops to fall on you. It's like very, very passive compared to Hyperspace, for example, where you need to be extremely active. So that's the upside. The downside is that you also have to be paying attention to everything that happens if you don't want to miss one of these airdrops. Also, it's a little bit more complicated to set up. So I've deposited 8 Atom onto my account, just so I can show you with this on a smaller scale what you'll have to do. As you can see, I already have done it here in the past, so I'm not going to put another $100 on everything here, but I'm going to be adding to my positions at the scale that I have chosen. What I recommend is that you take roughly 50 Atom, and then you split them into 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That will be roughly $100. If at the time the video gets released, the price has changed, make sure that you have, for example, $105 on each of the chains. And if you don't have enough, just don't do the other chains. Focus on the ones where you have enough to get these airdrops. All right, let's get into it. First one is Cosmos. This is the most important one, and it's where you want to be staking in by priority. What you want to do here, it's super easy. You're going to go onto your stake here in the Kepler dashboard. You click Cosmos, and then you choose the validator. For Cosmos, the validator that I'm going to choose is, for example, either SG1. All nodes has a 0% fee, and there is also another one that I have chosen that is Prism that will have an airdrop at some point. But you can also go for Everstake. Now that's really easy. What you want to do is we click here. We go, for example, I'll go on Prism again, if it works. No. Prism, and then I'm going to put a stake 1 Atom. Approve. And here I have staked 1 Atom. And what you want to do is stake more than one, but obviously, as I mentioned before, to your own scale. Now we're going to be moving on to Osmosis. Osmosis is what you're going to need to get from one of the Atom chains to the other. It's very, very easy to use, and it's basically what everyone does as well. So if you type Osmosis on Google Chrome, for example, you'll notice that the first link isn't the right one. So don't get tricked. It's the second one. It's osmosis.zone, and then you're going to launch app. The first thing you have to do is to deposit. So you go to Assets, Atom, and you deposit the Atom onto the platform. Once the Atom is deposited, you'll see this transfer complete notification, and you'll be able to swap. So you want to swap from Atom to Osmosis, depending on how much you want to stake. You're going to be swapping it like this. Then you're going to be also swapping it into Tia. So depending on how much you swap, once again, you're going to be using different amounts. You're also going to want to swap to Juno. And Akash. which is an extremely interesting project, by the way, if you have not heard of it yet. And we're going to also not forget Injective. And now once you have all of these different chains, all of these different tokens onto your Osmosis page, so that was relatively easy, you want to withdraw them onto your Cosmos account, and then you'll see it in Kepler. So here we're going to withdraw. So let's say I want to withdraw TIA. I'm going to go here, withdraw almost everything, but I always leave dust because I'm afraid of it requesting fees and then I'm stuck like I was on Binance a few times. But you shouldn't really have that problem, but you know, I have some flashbacks. I have some PTSD from moving from one chain to another, especially with Orbiter Finance. So I always leave a little bit of dust everywhere, but you don't have to. But I still recommend that you do. Withdraw everything. The fees are very, very low on Cosmos, so you can afford to do a lot of smaller transactions. And even if you get it wrong, it's not too annoying to just redo the whole thing. And once we have taken everything out of the Osmosis platform, we're going to start by staking our Osmosis that we have here. So you go to stake, and you can see that we should be able to stake with whatever squad we want. But there is an easier way of doing it if you go directly on the Kepler wallet, click Osmosis, and click stake. Here you can pick the validator that you want. The validators that we want for Osmosis are Figment or Chorus 1. Chorus 1 and Figment are both here. Unfortunately, they're very big, but I'll be putting onto Figment because I think that I already have the other one. So I have a maximum of 19 Cosmos. I'm going to put 17.5, and that will be enough for Osmosis. And see, just like that, we did Cosmos and we did Osmosis. Now we're going to be doing the exact same thing with the other chains and the other tokens that we have. Once again, if you had enough to go for all of them with more than $100, then you have to do the same thing with all of them. And if you don't, then just follow the 1, 2, or 3 first ones, because the more you get with $100, the better it's going to be. I'm going to put a picture here in the middle. I recommend that you screenshot, and then what you have to do is go from one chain to the other of the tokens that you have and just follow the tutorial. It's really easy. You have the amounts to stake, the validators, and the current price with the atom. So thank you DeFi Wimmer for this little screenshot, and I hope that you're able to do it. It should be relatively easy from here on out. MarginFi, Camino and Drift, and Tensor and Magic Eden. All of this is on Solana. Solana is an amazing ecosystem for airdrops. Even if you have a Saga phone, you'll be receiving a lot of NFTs and a lot of tokens. But the last airdrops were Jito. Next one is going to be Jupiter. That's at the end of the month. And MarginFi is going to be a huge one. It's expected to be a very, very promising airdrop as well. I am ranking up the points, but I'm not very good because I don't have that much money to put in. But I'm still going to be hitting that lower tier, I hope. So what you have to do here is super easy. You get some Solana tokens here in your wallet. So I don't have that many. I have 0.2. And then you go into lend. You supply the token that you want. So let's say I want to supply some bonk tokens. You select how many you want to supply. 500,000. And you confirm the transaction. And then the day that you don't want to supply it anymore, it's liquid staking, so you can take it out of MarginFi instantly. As you can see, I'm supplying roughly $550 worth of tokens, which means that this is also the number of points I'm getting every day. At least it's proportionate to the number of dollar value that you're staking. And I'm not borrowing anything because it scares me. But if you are at ease with that system, it's also recommended that you borrow because that does give you a lot more points. But I don't like doing it, so I don't. Camino is the next one. It's exactly the same thing. You're going to get points in the future. You just have to borrow or lend. Same as MarginFi, I only borrow, as you can see. And I didn't supply as much because MarginFi is supposed to be the bigger airdrop of the lots, and I'm hoping that it comes sooner as well, so that at one point I'll be able to rotate from Margin Fi to Camino. But what we want to do is just go here, for example, to Solana, put up how much you're okay to deposit, and then once you do, it will start getting you the points. This, I believe, however, is not liquid staking. So I think that, oh no, it seems like it is. Let's say I want to withdraw 5 USDC. Yeah, okay, this is liquid staking as well. So you can feel free to supply and withdraw depending on your current capacity. If you can only supply for a couple of days, then that's something that you can do, which is really good. I'm going to be also resupplying the USDC that I just sold, but I'm going to add even a little bit of a bonus just to show you that we can swap from Solana onto USDC directly from the Kepler. No, this is Phantom Wallet. It's extremely fast. And then close, asset, supply, 10 USDC, deposit, and it's done. Just as simple as that. Go to some of the different tokens that you have, deposit whatever you feel like are solid investments. Don't deposit tokens that you don't want to keep because they will be somewhere and you might still forget them at some point if you have a lot of these different strategies and you don't keep track of them well enough. And then we also have Drift. Drift does take your funds for a little bit more time than the others, but I'm still going to be showing you how it works. So let's say I'm going to be staking some. Can I do bonk? Earn, lend and borrow. There is no bonk, but for example, there is Pith. So I'm going to be swapping some access tokens into Pith. And I'll buy them back later. So you see, I swap it just as easy as this. And then I go to Pith right here and I deposit. And I just go for max, confirm deposit, and I'm good to go. So super easy, as you have seen. This is also some kind of passive. You do have to be a little bit more active than Cosmos, where you just maybe even keep it there for a year. Here, it's just really putting it there, waiting for the airdrops, and then when the airdrops hits, you might get it back, or you might just keep it there and just wait for future opportunities. The last topic that I wanted to go through was marketplaces on Solana. So you see that there is Tensor and there is Magic Eden. Both of those are the main marketplaces on Solana. Do never trade with someone who wants you to sell something through another platform. Really just use these two. They are good enough. They are very solid and they are very friendly. And here it's the same kind of concept as Hyperspace. You're going to want to get these rewards, and to get these rewards, you have to earn points. Earning points is exactly the same thing as Hyperspace. You want to buy and you want to list, and you don't want to have a bad attitude, which basically means buying and selling and buying and selling and buying and selling at a loss just to farm points. As you can see, I'm better on Magic Eden than I am on Tensor right now because I've been clicking on these diamonds. But both of them are extremely promising, and if you have enough activity on them, I am sure that they will be very rewarding, maybe even as much as Hyperspace is right now, because they are much, much bigger in terms of trade volume. So you can see that there is a lot of volume on Solana, there is a lot of volume on AVAX, and both of them seem to be very rewarding for NFT trading platforms because obviously they have a fee on every single sale. So all of the volume you see here, Hyperspace took 5% of it. All of the volume that you see on Magic Eden, they took 5% of it. All the volume that you see here, they took 5% of it. And as RevShare is an extremely good marketing tool and an extremely good utility, then you can be sure that these platforms will be doing it. And why I'm using Magic Eden more than Tensor is because I'm expecting Tensor to reward their NFT holders a lot more than everyone else, whereas Magic Eden doesn't seem to have that same structure. So you have maybe more of a chance to get a little bit bigger of an airdrop if you're a smaller holder like I am. But if you are if you do have the means, Tensor is probably also going to be a massive airdrop at some point, which I would love to be able to participate in with a Tensorian, but I can't right now. So that's it for this video. I hope that this motivated you to start making your money work for you and actually activate some of these airdrops. They're not always super easy, but do pick the ones that you're more familiar with, that you trust more, that you have time for. That's very important. And then feel free to follow my Twitter, because I am posting when you do need to collect an airdrop, or when you should be doing or paying attention to something. With that said, I hope that you were able and eligible to get these 2 airdrops, because they were really cool, and I hope to see you next time. Have an extremely profitable week. Cheers.